Good morning, good morning, good morning. Almost afternoon. I am working on my quilt. This is Big Sister. Of course, I left the pattern upstairs. I may go up there to get it, but I am working on free motion quilting with it, which is kind of why I have zoomed in. We'll try this angle, and if this angle doesn't work, then we will change the angle. I am going to use my free motion gloves just because they give a better grip when I am doing this. So the goal is to finish free motion quilting this one and to bind it and be done. That is the goal, goal, goal. And of course, um, I forgot that. So for free motion quilting, for me, it is always best to start in the middle and work your way out. That way, if something gets bunched up, you have an opportunity to fix it rather than it staying the way that it is. So I'm going to go in here. I bring both threads up to the top. I have a free motion quilt foot on here, so they call this like a hopper foot because it will hop up and down. You're turning your feed dogs off. That means that your material is not going to go in any direction. You're moving it, so you are free to move this any way that you would like. Can you drop a glove that fast? These are quilting gloves, but I will say that I also have gardening gloves. They do the same thing. And so all I need to do is just work in the area. So if I just choose to go up and down, and I'm just going in the background just to give it, and I could have gone with a lighter color, but I just want to see how that's going to work. I don't know if I like that. I think I may need a light purple. I don't like that one. So this is a very variegated thread um, that I am using. I'm just going to snip it from underneath. So this was what I was thinking, but I don't like how it is showing up in this space. So either I'm going to go with my first thing, which was a gray, or I'm going to go with my second choice, which is purple. But I still don't like how dark it is in those lines. I'm also not sure if I really like going in here. I think what I'm going to do is just go in the spaces, see how I like it, and then I'll come out. So I'm going to go with my first line. So originally I was going to go in these spaces, and if I don't like it, I tend to pick it real early. So then that way I can get that out, and I will pull those out later. But right now, I think that I would prefer, and I have these threads here that I keep on hand whenever I am doing my quilting. And I have a better thread that I want to use than the one that I had out. Just have to find the end. And I think this one may work in that space. But what I will do is I will work in, whoops, I'm going to work in this space here. I broke my table, so I need some glue. Hey, Miss Belinda, how are you doing this morning? Happy Good Friday. Yeah, that might work a little bit better. So let me put that one up there. My background, I'm going to leave the back, the backing I'm going to leave at the bobbin because I'm okay with that. But I think I want to switch this out. Okay. I have all kinds of threads on my floor. When I finish some of the work I have this afternoon, I will be doing deep cleaning. Okay, we're going to try this again, but I'm going to go in this area. And I feel like I've pushed this away from me, so let me slide that up a little bit. I think that's a better angle too. Just my chair. Let's try this again. We'll bring the bottom thread up. Couple stitches to lock that in. Look, I need to be organizing fabric too. I did some of that the other day. I need to do some more. I have everything in piles now. So I have disorganized order down here. And the goal is to get, you would swear I was having company. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move that thread out the way. There we go. And then I can get started again. Now, this has a heat and bond light underneath of it. So there is a little bit of a thump to it because it is pushing through the fabric, the batting, and the heat and bond, which is fine. You just have to be careful to check your needle to make sure that it's not getting gunked up in the process. And I'm just going to go around the edge, right around where I did that applique or really close to it, to secure that applique piece. Okay. Boom. So the first piece is quilted. Let me see what happens if I slide around. Yeah, I like this color better. In here. And we'll do this one. And again, because this is so thin, I'm just doing a simple, I'm just wandering down there to get to a thicker area to do something else. Okay. And then once in that area, I can meander again. And I can change the designs whichever way I want, but I think that the meandering is going to work best for me. I'm going to come back up and just kind of go around the shape. And I can go right in those zigzag stitches that I did. And then come back up here. And again, this is free motion. So free motion means that I am free to wander and do whatever I like. yellows, I'll probably come in and do something different on that. So I'm not feeling the purple possibly going over the yellow, but we'll see. We'll try this one. And if it doesn't look too bad, it's going to stay like that. I think I like it. I think I like it. If I felt some kind of way, I could go in between and change that as well. Okay. But again, yes, I have a long arm machine, but there are times when I prefer to work on my domestic because it is what I used for years. Okay. That just wanted to keep falling. I have to. I don't want to run over the stitches that I did with the variegated thread, just because it'll be a lot harder to pick them out. So the thing with doing with this on your machine, you know what you forgot to do. You forgot to clean your machine last night. Is that you don't have a stitch regulator on most domestic machines, so then you do run the risk of your stitches being different lengths. And so you do have to get used to like moving your machine at a consistent pace. Come up in there. And again, I can make this as big or as small as I want. It takes longer when you do it smaller. I just like the way it looks when it's smaller. But if I had a bigger quilt, I absolutely would be doing this a lot bigger. So this is like a wall hanging. It's not even the same size as a throw. I did come down to the end, and I didn't mean to come down this far. So I'm going to travel back up. And again, just because I do like to work in the center and work my way out. That way I'm guaranteed not to have a whole lot. I'm not guaranteed because nothing is guaranteed, but I try not to have a whole lot of puckers. Even though I do baste it, stuff happens. Will come up in here and get this one done. And again, this is small enough that this could be done on your domestic machine, and there's not a lot of fight with it. If you have a bigger quilt, there is some fight. And I'm not necessarily one that wants to do that fight, especially when I have a long arm, or if I had access to a long arm. So I'm absolutely taking it to my quilt guild if I'm a part of one. To avoid the need to do this. I need to, because I don't want to have an issue with this. I do need to pop these threads out. And I'm going to pray that they pop out really easily. And that's just because I changed the thread. So because I changed the thread, I want to pull out this thread that I had. And I'm hoping and praying that I can do it. And I may just work around it. And then when I get it closer to me, where I can kind of see what I'm doing and get to it from underneath, I think it'll work better. So it's only this line right here. So I think I'm gonna hold off on that one. I'll work around it, get that toward me a little bit more, and it'll be easier to pick. I'm too far away from it right now to get to it. But again, just meandering. I did this one here, so then this one would be next. And again, I don't want to go too far out, but I can either meander in the shapes, and you could see I started off in the shapes and then I gave up. Everything is secure to the background fabric. The background fabric is lilac, so it is secure to the background fabric. So I don't have to worry about anything popping up, and I really don't have to do all this meandering. If I didn't want to, I could just go around some edges. I could do a lot of straight lines. I am going to do something different in the negative space. So I'm going to be real careful, if I can help it, and not do a lot of meandering in that negative space. Okay. So I need to get over here. So I'm just going to travel over, because again, I don't want to come into that background, because I'm going to do something else there. I'm going to, oops, I'm going to lower my needle so everything stays in place, and I am going to shift this around. And this is why you want to use a bigger machine, because this doesn't have a lot of throat space, and this is my throat space in here. So when this doesn't have a lot of throat space, you don't have a lot of room to move that quilt around. And that's why, like, a long arm machine would have a longer throat space. So my Q16 has about 16 inches, whereas I think this has about 6, 8. So with my ruler, yeah, it's about 6. So my Q16 is a little bit more than double that. Okay, so then all of this right in here is done. I can move this over closer to me. Oops. Again, I'll meander my way to get it there. I know I don't want to do purple over the face, so I will right now avoid the face. Okay. And I'm just kind of getting myself to pull this down, so I'm going to take a break in a second from doing this to pull those stitches out that I don't like. And sometimes you're going to pull stitches just because you're not sure um, what works until it works. So I would suggest the test area. Do better than me. Don't do the same as me. Let me leave that down there. And then let me go ahead and pull this out. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tapping the screen. I appreciate you. I always try to get to about like 20,000 likes if I can. So any help towards that would be absolutely appreciated. Um, and I can go ahead and pull these out. Okay, which means that I have to come back in here and then requilt that area, but that's fine. I should be able to get them out. And so I just want to be able to do it, number one, while I'm thinking about it, because who would do a whole quilt? Me. And then go, oh yeah. And it will look funny because it's the only place where there are darker threads. So by pulling it out now, it'll guarantee that I won't forget later, because I'll tell you, I will forget. So I'm just pulling out those threads that I started off for with the variegated thread, that once I started working with it, realized that it wasn't working for me. And sometimes people will see it right away, and then there's me. And I have to try it. I ran it over a couple different areas to see if I liked it. I did not. And I'm being real careful right here because I am right over top of my diagonals that not my diagonals, Lord, my zigzags that I did for, um, the applique. So I don't want to pick those out. Okay, and we are halfway done this process. And I could turn it over on the back side, find it on that backhand side, because I should see it pulled out. And I can absolutely pull this a little bit more. And we can get that out of there. Okay. Oops. Ooh, that table is not doing well. And I'm going to have to get some other glue because that glue did not work. Okay. Pull that back out. We're almost done. Flip it back up underneath. I don't even see it. Okay, I think I got it all. I think. Nope. Here it is right here. And let me just get that part out. Hey, JK. How are you doing? Happy Good Friday. seam ripping is never my favorite part, and I don't know how many people actually do like it. Cool. There we go. And then that should just look right up. Good. Okay, there. So I took that out, so I don't have to worry about that piece of it. Derry, how are you? Welcome in. Okay, and let's try this again. Now, again, I have done this, I did this in it was something that like went fell outside. I was like, what was that? But I did this using a different thread. I didn't like how that thread looked, and so I did change the thread. And because I changed the thread, I had to seam it out. So that's what I just have to do. So I am working on the Big Sister book. I started this on Sunday. And the goal is to have this finished by this weekend. I'm trying not to work in my negative space over here because I am going to do something different in terms of the quilting in that area. I'm just trying to meander around. So that's the goal. So I'm leaving all of this open, and it's going to require me to draw some lines because that's what the pattern did. They kind of had lines radiate from the angle, and I will probably use my walking foot because that might be a little easier than free motioning. But I'm free motioning the center first because it's easier and it will require, well, it'll ensure that hopefully I have less problems. I'll guarantee. The basting should help with that. I hate to use the word guarantee because nothing in life is guaranteed. So we have about half the angel done. And this isn't like, it's not real big. But again, remember, I have a lot of negative space. I will take it over to my table. I will draw the line or lines. I may have one here. We'll see. So I'm going to work my way over there. So whenever I found that I am free motioning anything, it's always good. Like on a machine where you're on an actual frame, you're going to go side by side usually. So you start on the left, you work your way over to the right. With the free motion quilting, you can go in any direction you want to. So you can still decide to go from left to right. You can do like I'm doing, working from the center out. I would not work from the outside in, because if there are some puckerings that are going to occur, you want to try to smooth them out. You don't want to bring it in because it will give you some big puffs that you may not want. These are all lessons learned. Okay. Oops. Went a little out into that area that I didn't want to go out into, but that's fine. Because I caught it. This is the only thing out here, so I'm going to come back in here. Okay. And then we just have the bottom part of the dress to do in terms of the meandering. And then we will figure out those rays. I said I woke up this morning and I said I have nerve. I have so much that I need to get accomplished today. I have some cooking that I need to do, and I could do it tomorrow, but one of the things that I've learned when in doing anything with my church, this is the one that I skipped, right? That I messed up on. Is that it's easier to prep it ahead of time, because trying to cook on the fly for 50 people with my ambitiousness is not necessarily a good thing. So I'm gonna just make it ahead of time, which means that I have to be in the kitchen this evening. So that's why I was on a little late, because I was like, girl, you ain't washed these dishes. So I wanted to wash the dishes, and I haven't been real good on my eating this week. And I won't even say that, it's like not good for like eating well. It hasn't been good, like eating in general. So I've been drinking a lot of liquids, especially coffee. In those coffee cups, I was like, yeah, I'll get to them. Today was the day to get to those coffee cups. And go back up in here, because I just mess up in here. So at this point, I'm trying to make sure that I've worked through everything, so that when I come down to the bottom of this is all I have to do is this area. Let me pull that through. So all of this down here is done. That's the only reason I don't want to do that. It's not the end of the world, but what that will do is it will create a different type of design, if you will, and I want it to look like it's lines. Now I just remembered that I broke that walk-in foot. I was supposed to buy another one, and I did not. I need to see if the Janome walking foot will fit on this machine, and if it doesn't, then I'm going to switch to my Janome. Now I have been quilting for a good minute on this machine, and so far it's been holding up with me. But there's a possibility to check the bobbin. And of course, I can't see the bobbin because it's dark down there. Okay, I got plenty of time on that bobbin. So I did want to check that just to make sure that I had bobbin, because it's nothing worse than to quilt and run out of that bobbin. Okay. Yep. Okay. So I may actually make it through this entire dress gown, robe, whatever you want to call this, that the angel has on before I run out. Again, you don't have to go this slow. You could pick up the pace. You don't have to go this small, you could go bigger. Okay, and I am coming back into that center, because remember, if I can help it, I want to work from the center out, so I don't want to go too far down on either side without coming back to that center to ensure that I don't have any bunching. Okay, and we're down at this end, so I can flip this all the way around. Because that'll be less bulk on this side, less in the way, and I can get to where I need to get to. I did not do a piece over here in this corner, so I do need to go up and get in there. Like a maze, you do want a way out. this. And again, I'm a little off into the negative space, but that's okay. Oh, I have two over here I didn't do. I have a whole bunch over there I didn't do. Okay, I may go up in that space and then come back down and then just clip the threads. So you might run out of bobbin depending. I'm gonna say you, like this is you. I might run out of bobbin. Which is fine. Like I said, I just want to keep an eye on it so I can tie it in a logical place and a not so obvious place. Because I don't always use common sense, around certain places. Okay. I'm going to stop because common sense is common here. I'm going to go back underneath there again and see. Yeah, I still have a lot. I will be able to finish all of this is done. So I'll be able to finish this and this. And then we'll should be able to switch it. And that should be fine. So some people cut out the fingers so that it's easier to use because the main part of the glove is the palm part that you want to navigate the quilt when you're free motion quilting. I've never cut the fingers out, but I feel like today might be the day. That's why I'm taking them off. Because in order to do anything else, I need to have a good grip, and my hands give that good grip. The gloves do not give that good. So I have to take the glove off to be able to use my phone. Off again. Lift my foot up. I'm going to pull my thread away, go back into that space, go down one time, bring up my bobbin so that both threads are underneath, so then I can do what's called burying the thread if I choose to do that, or I can just do a couple stitches and tie it off. But either way, I want to get the bobbin up top. Okay. And I'll get all those together. If I choose to bury them, I can bury them, or I can clip. Okay, I thought I clipped the top thread. Clearly, I didn't. Okay. So the angel, the whole angel is now quilted except for this one area at the bottom of the skirt. Turn it so that we can get to it. Again, I put that up in the skirt to guarantee or to, again, but try not to have as many bunches. Okay. And then you said you were going to look at your bobbin, and you did not. You still have a good bit of bobbin, so I'm going to live on the bobbin. Well, I want to go this way to push everything down. So I'm going to try this, and then I'll go into that. I didn't eat breakfast this morning, and that's why I was saying, like, lately, I have not, because I have not been eating the way I should, and not necessarily eating terrible things, but not eating is not a good thing either. What happens is that my stomach has been like, girl. Okay. Keep that in one place. Because I want to reduce usually, whenever I cook, I do a lot of fruit. I'm so happy I did not buy fruit. I keep sitting here telling myself I got a lot to cut up, and I really don't. Now, I'm supposed to go out because I need to go get my nails done. Oops. So when I go out to get my nails done, I have to stop at the market because I said I was going to have rice, and I don't have any rice to make. I don't think I do. I need to look at what's there. When I went to Costco, all they had was like the industrial sizes. I was like, I don't need to eat all that. People don't really eat rice like that. So I didn't want to make a whole bunch of rice and have a whole bunch of rice. trying to think of what that I can sew in the yeah, that's not that hard. Two pieces of salmon. Years since you did this, and I thought about cooking it. I'm still debating, but baking it is always the best option. And I knew it was going to happen. I said the minute that I did not check. Okay, so what I do want to do is I'm going to pull this at a certain point just so that it makes sense. So I'm going to come, whoops, back up here. And then I'm going to use my seam ripper and just kind of pull this right back into the I want to call them diagonals, the zigzags that I did to hold the applique down. That way you can't see the stop and start. And I'm using the back of my seam ripper so that I don't cut into the fabric. Okay. I can tie these off. Thank you, Rock. My cousin wanted gold, even though this is yellow, but I'm not mad at me. He said gold and purple, and so I was like, okay, gotcha. And I went into my stash because I need to buy new fabric. And because applique, then I would buy fat quarters. I wouldn't be buying yardage for the most part because you're not using whole yards of fabric. Um, so it was easier to go into my stash. And I'm just tying this off with a couple knots. I cannot wait to get these nails cut today. And then we will clip this. There. Okay. I need to move this off to get to the bobbin. We don't have much more for that one to go. I do pre-wind bobbins. So then that way I'm ready for the next one. And I don't have to keep winding, especially when the bobbins are not the same as the top thread. So there's nothing worse than needing to do the bobbin and then have to change the spools or do any of that other stuff. So this way I can do everything very quickly. Hi, Bob. I had students in school last night. their mother used to do their hair. So one day, the daughter came to school, and her hair was so cute. And I was like, your hair is cute. I was like, whoever does your hair, I need to get them to do my hair. And I was just making conversation with the student. The next day, that child brought her card in, her mama's card in. She was like, my mom said, did you do her card? And I was like, whoop. Okay. I ain't mad at the game, child. You said you wanted to see it. I'm like, Mom, here's my mommy card. And I tell you what, I went to her mother. Her mother did my hair in her house. And I never looked back. I got my hair braided for years until I got married, and then I started doing other things. So I didn't get my hair braided as much. She did braid my hair for the wedding though. My hair braided. I remember she charged me. She may have told me that at the wedding, but I don't even remember. But she did a wonderful job. I loved it. Of course. And I would always, like my parents, I was like, I used to tell them, don't let me find out who I'll be right in my house, I'll be right in yours. I had a parent who used to do catering for me. I was like, yeah. They'll bring their kids over. I'm like, I don't care. Like it was a man in my house, and I was doing the wrong thing. So, okay, do I have now? If I did a ruler, it would be easier, but I don't know. Like I'm gonna come out from in the outside and then work my way in. Or okay. So let me tie this off. Put my foot up because that releases your tension. Come back over to the spot. Bring my bobbin up. Pull it up enough. And clip. Whoops. Of course you hit the camera. Move that table out the way for a minute. Not break it anymore than it's already broke. That's right there. Clippers. Take your foot off the pedal, girl. Take your foot off the pedal. Okay. Let me see it. 1, 2. Okay. So everything is stitched down. It's nice and flat. I have stitched all around the angel. The only thing I did not do was her face. I may leave that as is. And then out here, what I'm thinking about doing is, you know, what I'm thinking about doing is drawing a line here. Now I'm gonna live on the wild side with this. So what I'm thinking about doing is going like that. I may go down here, may come around, I don't know. And I'm not so much worried about, and I could, and this is why I like chalk. So number one, the benefit is that you can erase it. The downfall is that you can erase it. So you can rub it out. And I just want those lines. And this is not my design. This is kind of what is on the picture for her. And I want to, like I said, if I use the walking foot, what will happen is it will allow me to have a straight line. Put my feed dogs up. But I'm going to have to pull it out of my Janome and see if the walking foot for the Janome works for this one, or I'll have to switch to the Janome machine. Because we're not going upstairs. I do have another Viking. It does use a different foot. And again, these lines don't have to be as close as I'm making them. I could make them a little bit further apart. But right now, I'm just kind of auditioning the lines to see if this is what I want to do. Um, hey, Miss Janine. And that's the good thing. And again, if I wanted to go closer, I could go closer, but I can also leave these the way that they are. And I'm figuring at some point we're going to go straight. And let me see. Okay. So I can just work in this one area and then I'll come back and then do the lines for a different area. And I am eyeballing this I am not measuring for detail to get that done. Okay. Me dropping my ruler is probably telling me I did enough lines. Okay. Let me get my walking foot. And I thought I had two. But clearly I didn't. And let's see if the Janome fits on here. If it does, I'm in luck. If not, I can switch to the Janome. Which means that I may have to thread another bobbin, which would be disappointing. Okay, so this is the foot that I'm using for the free motion. And then this is the foot that's a walking foot. And I might be in luck here. Some of the feet for the earlier Vikings worked for the Janome. We'll find out in a minute when we try this. I can put the table back on, but that would be too much like that. Let me see. Now, let me put the table back on. Now, because I'm using a walking foot, that means that my feed dogs are going to come back into position. And because they're going to come back into position, I don't need to use the gloves. So that's the joy of using the walking foot versus using the gloves. Now, we're going to pray that I do not wipe away all of the lines when I do this. And that's why you would use a marking pen versus chalk. But I didn't feel like going upstairs for that, so I will pay the price. This is okay. I'm okay. I just had to check that stitch length because I did change the stitch length when I was doing free motion. So I do want to make sure that I'm happy with it. And then let me roll this up. I don't know where my smaller clips are, but this is a big clip. Let me just roll that up a little bit just to kind of keep this out the way. I really do need to use the smaller clips, but let me not even play the game. This big clip is laying this down. I know I have those smaller clips in there. And again, the more I manipulate this, the more I'm losing those chalk lines. But if I get lucky, they won't race all the way, and I will be able to see them. Turn this up. To the next chalk line. I'm going to go right across that because I can't. I don't feel like turning it. There is a little bit of pull that I am doing with this to try not to bunch up that fabric or the batting. Hey, Sassy Crafter. I'm going to run off. Turn this. Oops. Needle's going to be down because that's easier to get to the next ray. Did I? Yep, you're all the way over there. Happy Good Friday. And then let's go back here. Let me twirl this up just a little bit. Hi, Sharon. Let me not use this because this is weighing this down. Let me see what happens. I just want to hold this still, and a glove may help. Even though I am nowhere close to that line. And a little crooked. But I'm okay. The perfection is in the imperfection. And oops. Let me go over one more. I really could use the glove on the other hand too. But you really don't need a glove for walking. But I do want to grip the fabric a little bit because I feel like I have more control over the straight line when I do this. Okay, this is up. We're going to go to the next line. This is why it's easier to do it on a long arm. But I already started on this. It would be too much like right to get up and go over to the long arm. I've already done my bobbins. So I'm just going to continue down that same path. Okay. Now I think my ray was closer there. And we'll find out in a minute. Yep, there's a ray there. But I'm a little off the line. I may use both gloves because I do like the fact that it's allowing me, the word is taut, I guess. There is spray basting, but spray basting is a temporary glue. It is not a permanent glue, so it could still shift on you. I am like moving the camera all around with me.
Mm-hmm.
Lift up that foot. Okay. Let me put the other glove on. Maybe that will help a little bit. Now the glove is not, like the good thing is that the shadow of the lines are still there. So I can see lines. And I'm trying not to rub with my hand or the gloves. So then that way, as much of that chalk outline as I possibly can leave on there, I will leave on there. Hi, Gavin. Okay. It's going to organically make me do some things that I wasn't planning on doing, but because those lines are coming out perfectly for what I wanted. Oops. And you can see those lines are lining. I'm telling you, I do things on social media and they come out better than they do than when I am doing them all by my little lonesome in the house. Whew. Yeah, but your arms do get a workout. This up top has, and down in the lower corner, I think, has the most amount of background space, negative space. So right up in here, it's not as bad. Oops. Slide this over just a little bit. One of the reasons why I didn't want to do it upstairs. Let's see. Because I have more room on the dining room table to work than I do when I am doing it. Now, yo, isn't the bakery open? I didn't think you'd be on. Because the bakery should be open now, right? Thank you for supporting, but I thought the bakery was open. That place I'm trying to avoid while I lose some weight. Even though I know my friend Mark goes there. Look, I'm just getting fatter just watching all of the baking. I'm like, wow. But I picked up a lot of great tips. On occasion I bake. I don't bake often. But getting them air bubbles out, I was like, oh, okay. Now, of course, when I go to bake, ask me if I can remember all the tips and tricks that you gave. That's a whole different ball game. Okay. The great thing about coming off of it is that if I mess up off the quilt, this is going to get cut anyway, so it's not going to matter. Okay, and I think I see the next one. I put these rays so close together. I have to go sideways and hand crank this. Okay. Yeah, Mark can afford to, because he's consistent with his eating. I am not. And even though he is my accountability partner, I have not been good. And I'm like, nope, Girl, you do not need. And then, the trainer looked at me. Don't do. Hello, kitty. How are you? Like, don't go ham on Easter. I'm like, I'm not even going out. How about that? Sitting there picking on me. Okay, we are 1/4 of the way around this. Put it on the machine a little bit. See, you think you dropped the scissors. And this is why people tell you, even though it didn't hit my foot, thank God, but this is why people tell you don't sew without your shoes on. Ooh. When I head out to Gaffney's, I'll have to come and check that juice out. Look, and then while I'm there, I'll be ordering some sweets too, because I cannot not. It's just that, when you show the video, you say, oh, this is what I bought. And you just kind of ignore the fact that you got a piece of cake or a cupcake in your bag as well. Like, these juices are really good. And then your trainer says you went all the way up there for some juice. Like, yeah, that's what I went up there for. I didn't go up there for the cupcake. Or I didn't go up there for the pie, right? Knowing darn well you went up there for the cupcakes. So you never admit what you have. That's rule number 1. I don't have to lie and deny. I just omit. And I've stayed in the house a lot over the break. And I've been sewing, so that has been keeping me out of the streets buying treats. Oops. Look. Vanaya tell you I lost a lot of weight and then gained all that weight back. Even though I claim to have a good excuse, there is no good excuse. Okay. Man, I'm just trying to get back on track. Backtrack that, and I'm going to jump because I don't want to go through it. And then I'm going to backtrack this and then go. Hey, Pammers. Pammers? Broke this table, but I refuse to buy another table. So I am using my table. think I got back on track with these lines. I tell you, the joys of menopause mean the end of an era, but they also mean the beginning of a new one. And even though I'll take it over the era of the other, not even an era, decades. Okay, I'm going to turn that this way again. We are going to go I don't know what I was thinking. Oops. Okay, I see it now. Let me go back in and then come back around. Thin part. Don't like the way that sounded. And it didn't mess up on the back. Clip those. Okay, it keeps popping. Moving my camera. First of all, I need to thread the needle. Thank you, thank you, thank you for liking the live. Are you guys open today and tomorrow, or just today? I know we're getting ready for Easter, so I know it would make sense to be open tomorrow, but I figure I'd ask. Not that I'm venturing out, I'm just wondering. The table is, so this is a Sew Steady table. I got this from Sewing Parts Online. Well, actually, this one I bought when I bought the machine, but this is, you can buy it at Sewing Parts Online. So when I bought the machine, they had a table because they know how to get you for your money. So they were like, you might want a sewing table. And I was like, what do you do with a sewing table? And then they were like, oh, you do this with it. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's been one. Sewing Parts Online. And you're going to pay the same amount for it if you went to the sewing machine shop and got it. Some machines will come with a table, not necessarily like this, but they will have an extension table, especially if it's a quilting machine. So my Janome had a table that came with it. And so if I'm doing quilting on that Janome, then I am absolutely using their extension table. It's not as long as this one is, and it's probably not even as smooth, but it gets the job done. Oops. And I like it more just because it gives me the space out here to work. Um, but typically, if I am doing something with my machine, oops, I can usually get away with I can usually get away with not using it. Okay, that should solve that problem for you. So I'll stop hitting it. I think I have one more. There we go. Hi, Meredith. So I am working my way around through the second quarter, and I don't think I have that many more lines that I drew. So I may have to take this back off the machine, which will be great because I'll run it off, and then I will do the next set of lines based off of where I went off at. Okay. Lift your foot up because that's how you get rid of your, loosen up the tension. Move my table back over here again. Move this out the way. And so, albeit not perfect, I am doing the line so it's like rays coming out from the angel. Let me put this while I'm talking about it. And there's another one back here. And the, okay, so out here, and this would be the next section to work in. And you could use an iron if you needed to smooth it out. Now, tell me, how do you move stuff around? Ask me what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my ruler. Now, I didn't get up. I did not move anything. And yet, it's on the floor behind me. How it got back there, I don't know. But I say all my stuff has legs. Thank you. I liked how they did the rays when they demonstrated this, and well, not demonstrated it, but when they had the picture on the pattern, and I was like, I'm doing a raise. The other ones, I just did the meander throughout, but I really wanted to do this. And so I'm using chalk, and this is not necessarily the best thing to use because chalk rubs off. The good thing is that the needle is kind of making indents in the quilt. So those indents are helping me to see where the chalk is. And And that's why I'm also working in sections and not doing like the whole thing, because by the time I would get to the bottom, all them chalk lines would be gone. Hey, Tony. How are you doing, my dear? Hey, Luna. Okay. So we'll just do some more. Um, so there are pens. There are marking pens that will erase that you could use. Some people will suggest friction pens, but sometimes friction pens won't wash out the way that you want them to. So, like six in one hand, a half dozen in the other. Um, just in terms of like what really works. Because you do want the lines not to show through your thread. But there are marking pens, marking pencils. I have one that's gray that I could use, but if you heard me before, I don't feel like walking upstairs. So that's part of the reason why I have I'm using the chalk, because I'm not going up there. I ran up there too many times already today, and I'm not running up there again. Okay. So I just marked out from here to here. So that's a section that I will go in. And then when I get down here, they're not like a lot of big sections. The section down here is also small, so I'll be in and out of that. So this, like the biggest part was up around the head where there were just a lot of spaces that I had to go on. So this one won't take quite as long as it did because I don't have long distance to travel back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then when I finish this, I just square it up, add a binding, and then this little thing is done. I ran it off, so I'm going to run back on to the quilt. Yeah, but there are all sorts of marking tools on the line. It's that a lot of times you would have to test your fabric out with the marking tool, see how it works, and then go from there. So sometimes I don't feel like doing all that. Real rap. And because I don't feel like, okay, I knew that wasn't sitting straight. Because I don't feel like doing all the testing, I use what I know is tried and true. It just causes me some issues. And it's not real bad because I can see those lines. Um, how about you skip a line? You can see the lines and you skip it. And I mean, I could see it. And then I skipped it. Like, who does that? But that's okay because I can go. I'm going to do something janky. I'm going to go backwards to that line. And then turn it. How are you doing, just a girl? Okay. I just backstitched to it. And you really don't want to do it that way because again, if something's going to bunch up, you're trying to keep it as smooth as you possibly can. So you don't want to do it like that. But do as I say, not as I do. You know when our parents told us that. And so this is a lot of needle down, lift the presser foot up, put the pressure foot back down. And again, I'm just using gloves because it's helping me to keep that background tight, or taut, I won't say it's tight, so that I don't get any bunching. And again, you don't have to use, these have grips on the bottom of them. You can absolutely run to the dollar store and grab yourself a set of garden gloves. Somebody forgot to plug their computer in. Okay, cool. Now, somebody missed that line again. So somebody is again doing something janky to get to the line. And if you're using your walking foot, unlike when I was using my spring foot, I can go a lot faster with this. I'm just doing straight lines. It's off of the quilt itself. Stitch down to the next line. All that's going to be cut off anyway, way. Turn it. Oops, forgot to leave the needle down, but that's okay because it was off the quilt anyway. We're right there. Good. Not a problem. See you later. How is it that you keep missing the rack? Okay. Me Creatively by Kim. How are you? Still forgot to lay that needle down. I'm getting sloppy, girl. I'm getting sloppy. It's just easier to turn it and not have your fabric move when your needle is in the down position. So. But again, see how this is going quicker. because I don't have as much ground to cover. Okay. I'm gonna have muscles by the time this is done. Whew. And again, this is a reminder for why you should be using your long arm. Because this is work. Okay. I think I have like 6 more lines on this one. 4 more. Then I will head to my nailery because I am overdue. I could go tomorrow. But you ain't doing nothing after you leave church, and you'll leave church around 12. May go tomorrow, not go today. Because technically, I don't want to cook. Get my fingers all stained. And then mess up the nails. Even though tomorrow tends to be a busier day because it's the day before Easter. I could call and just make an appointment. Be like 2 o'clock. Shock all of them. Like, you actually made an appointment? Sunskin? How are you? Missed that line again. Sitting here thinking about what I need to do today. I know what I do need to do. What I do need to do is still go to the supermarket. Oh, 2 right next to each other. I see one right here. And the good thing is that they're getting closer together. Closer. That out the way, because I don't want that to fall, because everything else is falling on the floor. do not want to pick up a whole bunch of feet off the floor. Okay. Hey, Miss Tony. Okay, and I think, yep, if I get out of there, that should be good. And I think that is my last line. Yep, I think that's the last line. So I'll ride that off. Lift up the foot. Pull the table off for a second again. Move this sideways. So again, you can see all of these so far. And again, they're nice and tight. So I do love using the, you can see it on the back as well. But I do love using the chalk lines for this reason. Because, I mean, not the chalk, I love using the gloves for this reason. Because it helps me to have better hand control over the fabric so that everything lays nice and flat. And so again, I've already spray basted this, but because there is some movement when you are moving your quilt around, it's just a good idea to kind of smooth it back out. And you can also use your iron to help smooth it out. And I am not, again, using any sort of true measurement for this. I am just drawing those rays. I probably should have angled down, but that's okay. I'll start angling down here a little. And again, the chalk isn't necessarily my friend because it will rub off. And so that's why I'm taking a little extra time to just kind of run that wheel over it because it'll indent the fabric. And even if the chalk line goes away, it will still have the indent left. Okay. Hey, Stacy. But again, this is going to ensure, like I said, I like to use these gloves. Don't look at how raggedy they look because they are old. And this is nothing more in this day and age than using a gardening glove. So if you go to the dollar store or the Dollar Tree and get yourself a pair of gardening gloves, they will do the same thing that the quilting gloves do. And I may not even draw lines underneath the skirt just because. Okay, let me not do that. But I may not draw it underneath there because I can do that. So I have the lines drawn. And these are going on an angle, which is the other reason why it helps to draw the lines. If I were doing straight lines, I wouldn't necessarily need to draw them. But because they're on an angle, and I do want it to look like rays of sun, Okay, so here we go again. We ran, see, that's why everything needs to be tightened up, because I'm going to run it right off this table, just knocking everything on the floor. So I start off the edge of the quilt, so it doesn't matter. That's why your backing and your batting are usually longer than the quilt. And then I'll run it onto the quilt. I don't want to grip my fabric with my hands. So that's why using the gloves helps. So traditionally, because you are using your walking foot and it is using feed dogs top and bottom, you don't have to guide your fabric. But what it's doing is it's allowing me to take my hands and pull the fabric out to the right or left a little so that it's not bunching and it's staying straight as the walking foot does its job. When I get to where I want to stop, I'm going to go right along the edge of the wing because you're not going to see it. And then I can turn it and pivot. Run it a little off. Turn. So I'm doing a lot of lifting the foot, pivoting, and turning. Or turning. Pivot, turn, same thing, right? Where did I put? I must have left that water. In the refrigerator. Or I left it downstairs in the gym. Did I break it off all the way? Get some E6000 and really make sure that that table is back together again. Okay. And we'll turn it this way. Make sure that everything is straight, nothing bunches underneath, because if it does, you will be mad. Needle down, turn, go around that wing to the next position, needle down, hi Wella, happy Good Friday. Turn. And again, this will keep, I mean, it really does help with that bunching, because there's nothing worse than when it gets bunched. I mean, it still looks good, but it's an aggravating feeling to see it all bunched up, and then it's like, okay, so I either leave it like this or I take it out. And to know me is to know I don't like the seam rip. So if I can help not seam ripping, I'm not seam ripping. Did I? No, I didn't square it. I thought for some reason I did. Probably work on a different one tonight. I have my walking foot on here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Cynthia. I missed you. I'm telling you, I gotta pay attention to those chats on YouTube and Twitter. Because sometimes they do not come out the way that I think that they're coming and we are coming around to the bottom. So we have finished 2/4. Hey, Nana's half-baked goods. There we go. Looking out for some things from Amazon today. Okay. Hey Phyllis, how are you? Hey RV. PT1, is it P1? Hi P1. Here, we'll come around this. Turn down here. Need to finish that other quilt because I want to see if I have enough back to do both quilts. Happy Good Friday. Are you off from work or are you sliding in while you're at work? Traditionally, most people, even if they don't have the week off, usually have Friday off. And then if you're like in regular industry, you're working every day. So I like to assume. But again, you don't see a lot of puckering. And part of that is because I am using the gloves. Part of that. Won't say the whole thing. Okay. We got down to this one. And the good thing is that because I'm down on the other end. Oh, okay. So you're on every day then. I don't have as much turning to do because all of my whole quilt is down at the bottom. So it's just a matter of going back and forth to the bottom so I'm not in the throat anymore. So that's a big help. And we are almost, what do we say? About 70% done. And I really want to say like 80 because the stitch lines are not as long as they were as like when I was up top. So the stitch lines are much longer. So this is going a lot better. Hey, Kristen. Kristen. One more down. You didn't do right in here. How did I miss that? Okay. Jennifer's going to do something wonky. Because Jennifer missed a section. So I am doing a form of free motion with the walking foot. And it's not the most ideal way to go. Your machine will always allow for you to do something wonky, but you don't necessarily want to go. But I do want I just wanted to get something in there because I didn't want to go back in. It's not, and the walking foot helps to do the straight lines because it's going to feed your fabric from the top and the bottom. So if you're ever quilting and you do straight lines, absolutely use your walking foot. So I use my free motion foot to do the inside, but I use the walking foot to do the outside. Um, I drew my lines, and I think I'm out of line drawing again. So I did draw my lines just because they are, some of them are on an angle, and the walking foot is going to, so like here, they're going on an angle. So the walking foot will let me do the straight line. You can kind of see it looks like sun rays. The walking foot is going to let me do the straight line, but it's not necessarily going to show me evenness for the angles. So I can use my ruler to set up what I'm going to do, and then use my walking foot to do the straight lines. So I'm just outlining this in chalk. And I was sharing earlier that when you're using chalk, it will rub off. So it is always to your benefit to use a marking pencil or like a friction pen, but just be careful and make sure of how you get rid of the marks. Some will iron off, some you have to wash off. And if you're not planning on washing the quilt, I would not suggest using something that you wash off. And some people like the crinkliness of a quilt because when you gift it, right, even if it's crinkly, when they wash it, it's going to be crinkly. So they might as well see it crinkly when you give it to them. Um, so you could, wash it. If it's going to be a throw or hang on someone's chair, or on the table or hang on the wall, then you don't necessarily have to worry about washing it. So then you don't necessarily want to use something that you have to wash off. You could use something that you have to wet, but I wouldn't necessarily use something that has to be washed off. Okay, and then we'll get that last section in there. Okay, so then I only have like this much more that I have to go, and this little puppy will be pulled. It's not 100% straight, but I still love it, and it's still going to work. I would be concerned about what it looks like if it were going into a show. It's not, so I'm not worried about it. And my table leg is a little janky because I cracked it. Now there are some places on the back of it that the quilting didn't work out as well as I want, but again, if you want to look at the back. I wanted to do some things that I felt comfortable doing, and so I opted not to use my Bernina, but I absolutely could have done this on the Bernina, and it probably wouldn't have taken me as long as it's taken me had I have done it on my Bernina. So lesson learned. But I also think that I do like to go back to my machine. I do like to struggle through it because there are people who do not have one. And before I had the long arm machine, I quilted everything on my machine unless I went to the quilt shop and used their long arm. Now, if you have not looked in a while, you probably have a couple more rows to go, probably to the end of this one before that bobbin runs out. And then I have one more bobbin I guessed right with 3 bobbins. I'd rather have more. Well, it doesn't matter. If I have more, then I have to figure out how to get rid of it. So I'd rather have one less. I'd rather have more if I'm piecing, because I will always use the colors that I use to piece. Those will always get used. So I'm not never worried about that. Like, I'm not using an orange or green. But I can always do another bobbin and determine how much more I need to use rather than having it left over. Because I end up with a lot of that bobbins left over. Sometimes I'll use them when I'm doing applique, because it won't matter with the applique, because I still have to quilt the quilt. This area is not as big, so I don't need the gloves for it. And my hands are as dry as the Sahara desert right about now. Not from the gloves. But I will say this, the gloves make a difference. Oh, hey, Miss Massey. Oops. Did I just smack that around a little bit? And the bottom is the easiest one because there's not a lot of room down here at the bottom that has the background on it. So in the background with no problem. I wonder, when TikTok says invite, does that mean that the person has enough to be invited? Or does that just mean that they're attempting to have somebody invited up? And I'll be probably, after I recover from the health expo, I'll probably get on to work on another project, because I've had so many projects that I have either started over this break. Should almost be finished. By the time the break is over, like, we'll finish that tote bag tomorrow, because that's going to be relatively easy to do. We will finish the, I'll finish this quilt because it just needs binding. I want to finish one of the other quilts, but we'll see. I will do those on the long arm, just because I'm not crazy. Well, I am crazy, but I'm not that crazy. Oh, and I said I was going to run out, right? So I ran out of thread. And again, I will take this back up to the edge of the angel, so that way you won't see where I stopped. And then I will start with the new one. I hope what I dropped on the floor was not the other bobbin. Even though I don't see it in my case. And so, and maybe I only did 2 bobbins. Maybe I didn't do 3. I'm going to look on the floor real quick to see what I dropped. Let me pull one more thread up. I think I got it. And I like it wants to shred on me because I am using my seam ripper. And I'm going to tie this off. Just so that it doesn't come undone. And you could bury your threads. I have not been doing that, but I also don't anticipate him using this. Oh, it's gonna do that problem. Okay. Let's see, everything but, oh, okay, that was the foot. So I do not see a bobbin. So you just do another bobbin. Now I only have like this, I only have a little bit more to go. So I don't know that I need a full bobbin for this, but about to say, I thought I left the scissors on the floor too, because I didn't see them. The steps. And we should be able to get this in here. Okay, now I didn't rerouted my day to do the nails tomorrow. So now I just have to think about what I'm getting accomplished today. One of my friends said that he wanted to stop by. He's just a friend. Lives in Pittsburgh, and so he'll be in the area. Now, him stopping by could be 6 o'clock. Him stopping by could be 8 o'clock. It will not be 10 o'clock. Yep. And so my church, for some ungodly reason, decided to do their Healthy Living Expo tomorrow instead of next to that. I'm not mad at them because it, in theory, gives me more time to work, even though realistically it's Friday, which would be the same thing that I would have done if I had to go to work today. The only difference is I won't be tired starting this process. But I don't do the Sunday, the Easter Sunday. I don't have to worry about that cooking. Traditionally, I would go over one of my friend's houses and hang out with her and her family. I may stop by there tomorrow after Sunday service when we finish the tote because she makes some really good potato salad. So usually I go there and get my potato salad, and whatever else I can get from her. And so, did I say tomorrow? On Sunday. Tomorrow Saturday. So I may go. So she doesn't make stuffing, and her husband likes stuffing. So I usually make it for them. I started off making it for her mom when her mother was living, and then, the husband still wants it. So I make that. So I still have to run to the store to get a couple things for that. But then other than that, I have to make the stuff for church. And again, like they're not getting Easter Sunday stuff because, who wants that more than one? So I'm not making Easter Sunday stuff. They can get that at their own house. Actually, because it's a Healthy Living Expo, I could do some Sunday type things and talk about like the stuff that they need to replace that with, you know. So instead of using a pound of sugar on some sweet potatoes, even though they are good, what else could you use in place of that? But that's my charge. I have food already in my freezer. I meal prep. I just don't do a good job of always eating my meal prep. Drinking my water like I should have drank right now. And I'm like, I don't even know where my water thing is. So I've gotten raggedy. Everybody that knows me knows. Hey, Dottie. Because I've gained a lot of the weight that I lost back. So thank God I'm still not back to being the biggest that I was. But I just need to do better. Crystalina, how are you? Okay, so we have, did I go up? I don't remember. Or did I stop? No, I see it. Okay. And so this is the reason why you don't use chalk. Because then you can't see what you did for your marks. When they start to rub off, because it's chalk and it's not meant to be permanent. Okay. But I'm lazier more than I am practical, and I didn't feel like going upstairs to get a marking pencil. Even though, and the one tool would have been just as white as the chalk, and so I didn't want to use that. When we get busy, we forget about water eating. Yeah, you know it. But, my problem is it's just like not getting up to get what I already know I should have had because I worked out this morning, so I made water. So there's no good reason. It's like I said, it's either in the gym, so it's downstairs, or it's up here. And I'm trying to remember if I took it out and brought it up. Because I went in the laundry room clothes, and then I came up the steps and went in the kitchen, but I don't remember if I brought it. And there's nothing worse for me than to already have the water and then have to make another one. Because then usually I can't find that one. And then I have two waters laying around. And that's just aggravating for me because I like cold water. I don't like room temperature water. If I can help it, I'll drink it. So I prefer to have the cold, and then when it can't be cold because it's been sitting around somewhere, that just irks me. Okay. I have about, oops, thought I put that down. I have about 10 more inches around to go. And then I will be finished this part. And the only thing left that I have to do is square it up and bind it. The one thing that I don't like about the walking foot is that I feel like the screw keeps coming loose. Now this is back into that area where you have to bunch your fabric. And so, because this is getting a little longer, one more. And we are almost there. Almost there. People around here think I'm crazy. But I don't care. Okay. And I have just from here to here, like a finger tip, the tip of my pinky to the tip of my thumb to go. Awesome, wonderful. Wow, I'm telling you. And I just use my name. Like, I just love it. I come down? Okay, remember. Okay, let me lift it up and see. Okay, move my table. Now I twisted when I shouldn't have twisted, turned when I shouldn't have turned, and I'm going to run into a little bit of an issue. And I'm thinking if I go down, I can come into that. Okay. If not, I will be ripping stitches. Hi, Frida. How are you? People think I'm crazy, but I don't care. Did I finish watching that? No, I did not. I don't even know what part I stopped on. If I turn around and I don't have to go into that. Hi, Shell. One thing that I like about these is that these are big enough where if I have to pop a couple stitches out, it's not that big of a deal. I think I will pop a couple stitches out, and that way I can run right into the other. It's like 3 rows that I will be taking out because they're running. I went up, and I don't know why I went up. I shouldn't have gone up. And I don't even see it underneath yet. should be able, really, if I tear it from underneath, I'll probably be better off. It's just a little less pulling, so I will seam rip that out. And then, oops, well, that's off the grid. Good. And then I should be able to straighten that out, which will be good because this one went crooked anyway. And this is why I like to meander. Because if I meander or I do loops, I don't have to worry about what design placement looks like. I don't have to worry about anything special. I can just quilt. If I do something other than meander, then if it doesn't turn out the way that I wanted to, then I have to seam rip. And I am never a happy camper whenever I have to rip stitches out. And I know there aren't many people who are. But I should be able to get in there and get those seams out. I tell you, them seams don't rip. It's easy with one of the quilts that I have to take out, I'll tell you that much. One of my quilts bunched underneath, so I'm taking the stitches out. And I can tell you those are some of the tightest stitches. I'm like, how tight was this tension? Okay. Oh, I thought I heard the ice cream man. Not that I'm getting up, but I was just like, wow, okay. Let me pull this over here to this side. And if I can get rid of these few, this one more row, then I should be able to get a couple more lines in here. And I mean a couple, like 2. And when I get those 2 lines in, that should straighten this out. Which is good because I think I only had to seam rip like 3 rows out. 4. So that wasn't too bad. And just a little bit more there to get that to the space. And then we will be in full clean mode here, trying to get everything where we need it to go. Okay, this is off the grid, so I can flip this over to see wherever that line is that I am ripping out. And I got it all. Cool. Okay. So then this can now go back under here. I'm going on an angle in this direction. Yep, those may still, I have like 2 more, I think, that could really come out. And the holes will mend themselves back together again as I move and manipulate this quilt. So I'm not worried about those holes in the fabric. Okay, the cup just fell. Because again, anything that I have on that side of the table is falling off of the table. Okay, lift that foot up. Take those loose threads out. You can get this one bendable. Brenda. Lord, I can't read. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that like that. Mm-mm. Okay. That's because somebody needs to do some cleaning. Okay. This has seen better days. Okay. And you can't even see that. Right. Here we go. And of course, you know, I will take a better picture of this just so that you can see it. But I can lift up. I don't need this right now. Unplug it. There. That looks a little bit better there. Whoops. Change this one. And you can see it. Okay. And here we go. So this is done and I have my binding left to do. So stay tuned.